Welcome to the Opinionated Aussies.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the podcast. How are we all doing? Yada yada. Hey Jordan, how you going?
Good, Adrian, good. How are you going, mate?
Tired, sore, cranky, very cranky. Other than that, I'm fine.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you there. Tired and sore. But fuck. You know how I said I hadn't been sleeping real well?
Yeah.
Well, last night, fuck, that was a good sleep. I got home and I watched probably about, 20 minutes worth of telly and just went, oh, yep, this is nice. And just sort of just fell down. I just passed out. Just like a drunken haze sort of passed out. I wasn't drunk, but just in a drunken haze just passed out. I slept on the couch all night, woke up at like 8 o'clock this morning going, holy shit, that was a good sleep.
Yeah, I knew you'd pass out on the lounge. That's something you do all the fucking time. Nah, I swapped roles with you. I had a shit sleep, so I've woken up on the wrong side of the bed and I've got a hankering.
Yeah, the hankering to end the world.
Yep.
Don't cross my path today.
Yep. Which is why, before we restarted this discussion, we brought up the topic for today's episode because before we hopped into this, I was looking at another review for the main catalyst of this idea for today, and I was like, "Fuck you!" Fuck you. So today, our topic's a little bit more on the negative side. We'll try our best to make it funny because, we can't do negative without throwing in some humour. Little dick joke here, a fart joke there, you know how we work. But besides that, just for the audience, how have you been since you did that episode with Aden last fortnight?
Yeah, good. Work is good. Spent a whole week out at work and did all that sort of shit. A couple of hiccups out there, just so the audience know, our finish time is 6 o'clock, but on our last day, the boss lets us go, 15, 20 minutes early. So, we're traveling from, I guess, like our base sort of thing, or, in mining terms, our go line. So, if you're in mining, you'll understand. But essentially, it's like our main office on site. And, we got to within about 200 meters of the front gate to leave site, and an emergency got called. So as soon as we heard that, you could hear an audible "get fucked" from the entire car. It was just in sync. It was in unison, and everyone was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" Now, it wasn't a medical emergency, so if it was a bit of a medical emergency, we would have been a bit more empathetic. But the nature of the emergency essentially was, the operator of this specific machinery was notifying his higher ups all day, saying, something doesn't feel right with this bit of machinery. I don't want to use it. And his boss is like, nah, just keep using it. Just use it till it breaks, sort of thing, which is a very common terminology in the industry. Just use it till it breaks. And so our last day, Tuesday, everyone's excited to go home, and this happens at 5:45, and everyone's stuck there until I think it was about 6:35, 6:40 at the gate. So we're there for about an hour till they called the emergency off. But it was just a bit of a pisser because we could see the front gate and we're so close. We couldn't, we can just sneak out. But, if you get called during an emergency, like traveling or moving or whatever, you get marched offside. Don't pass go, don't collect your $200, you're gone. So we sort of couldn't do that. And, just to top off, the week that was, we had that, and you just sit there and think, what? You got to be fucking kidding me.
Uh,
You know, it's how I could summarize it is you just got to be fucking kidding me.
at least no one got hurt. Always keep that in mind. Bright side of life and all that jazz.
You're exactly right. You know, if it was a medical emergency, someone had, you know, fallen off a dump truck or had a bit of a heart attack or whatever, then we would have been a bit more empathetic and gone, well, I hope he, you know, receives the care that he's, you know, the top medical care he can get. You know, hope all is well for him. But yeah, just because, you know, the bosses are like, you know, we need to get this and get that and, you know, just do whatever it takes. And, you know, everyone could hear that, you know, over the mine two-way and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah, it just sort of went a bit haywire. So we're just like, oh, fuck me.
Well, aside from that, it was a decent 2 weeks, eh?
Yeah, no, it was good since the last podcast.
Yeah, it was a bit different.
Really...
It was a bit different last fortnight because it was it's the first episode that was done for the whole podcast that I actually was not involved in.
Yeah. Look, it was different. Like, it was good to, and not to like, how can I put this? Not to like kick you in the balls. It was good to change it up.
Yeah.
You know, to not have you there, just like it would be to not having me there. You know, it's you and Aden, or you know, you or having a guest on or whatever can talk a bit more freely, I guess. Not that you're restricted when you're talking to me, but you find something else, and you find someone else's another person's point of view. You know, we obviously, you know, where I stand on just about everything. So we come to an agreement a lot. Yeah. Whether if you were talking to Aden, you know, Aden's a bit different to you, so you've got that, I guess, different connection would be the right word.
Yeah, in most conversations, me and Aden can agree quite frequently on things, but nowhere near as much as I do with you. That's probably because you and I have actually lived together for more years than you and Aden have. And yeah, and we kind of got wired a bit closer together because of that. But there are things that you and Aden agree on just as much as you and I agree on. They're just different things.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But nah, well, I guess, with your fortnight being good, my last month has been good, getting back into work fully, quitting that second job. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. I read a quote there the other day, and it was something like, employees don't leave businesses because of the boss, essentially. They leave businesses because of management.
Yep.
And, you know, it's 100% the reason why you quit. And, you know, so many staff members quit from, you know, that particular store was because of that manager. And, you know, it's not just retail, fast food. It's the same with us. Like our their B crew, you know, our back-to-back crew actually had 5 or 6 people walk off. I think it was about 3 weeks ago. So they're on swing at the moment. So I think about 3 weeks ago, 5 or 6 people out of, I think, about 13, because that's about what we've got on ours. So about, you know, a third of their crew walked out because they just couldn't deal with the management, and, you know, the demeanor on that crew is a bit piss poor.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, same sort of scenario. They left not because of the job or, you know, what the job entails. It was management. That's why they left.
Yeah. But, no, it's been good getting away from that one because, yeah, management there kind of went down to the shitter. And coming back to this other job, I think this week this was the most I'd worked in a while, and all that I gained from this week of working was, holy fuck, do I not remember everything? God damn it. Because up until this point, I'd only been doing maybe a shift every 3 days, possibly even 4. And then this whole week, it's literally been Monday to Friday. And by the Wednesday, I'd started to come to the realization that, fuck, I suck. I can't remember shit. So, by the Friday, I'd managed to get back into the groove of it. So hopefully this week coming, everything goes all right. But now the main job I've got, my one job, they've got their own dramas going on. I don't remember if I told you, but my boss and her husband just had 2 friends on them pass away this week.
Oh, that's rough.
One of them was a bike accident.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Jordan, talking to Jordan.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, mother. And the other one was an older fella that passed away in his sleep peacefully.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And not good that he passed away, but
No, that it wasn't painful.
yeah, that's right.
And it's the first time I'd ever seen my boss actually cry. So that was something that I had to process, because I'm standing there because I had no idea that it happened at this point. I just came in, I looked at her, and part of me is like, thank God I didn't say what I was gonna say when I walked in, because I'd been called in that day. I wasn't meant to work, and I was in such a good mood. I was gonna walk in and jokingly say, "Okay, who died?"
Oh God, Adrian. Fuck.
Thank God I didn't do that.
Yeah, thank God you didn't. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was in poor. I knew it was in poor taste the moment I realized. But usually, because it had been a long time since someone close to me had lost someone, that it didn't cross my mind that could happen again. So yeah, there's that. That being said, I toned myself in. I was there for them when they needed me. And yeah, those 2 are doing okay now, but man, that would suck. Just imagine you came home from work for the week, and 2 people you were close with, you just heard that they'd passed on. Imagine your reaction to that.
Yeah, look, I couldn't imagine my reaction to it. That is just
No.
it's wild. That is.
Yeah. But enough of that. It's been good to get back at work. It's good to hear that your last fortnight's been good. Let's move on to today's topic. And we've got a nice one for you. I don't know if we've covered it. I don't think we have. I haven't actually gone through all our episodes in the last week or bit. Today we're talking about how in recent times, quality for products, and what products I mean is media, stuff that you take in, like movies, TV shows, video games. Fuck, we'll throw in YouTube. Why the fuck not?
The news. Content, I think, would be the word you're looking for. Content.
Yeah. A drop in quality in the content that we watch.
That we consume on a daily basis. Yeah,
that's the word I'm looking for.
But it's not just content, though. It's to be honest, in my mind, it seems to be the quality of just about everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I'll just put it out there because you're not too big on cars and whatever.
Yeah.
There's a problem with your car, you take it to a mechanic. Whether it's me, if I can fix it, I'll fix it.
Yeah.
So I ordered this part for something that broke on the car, which I knew full well about. I just didn't want to bite the bullet and whatever. So I bought one off eBay, first purchase I've ever made off eBay, and it didn't come with instructions from the box. It sort of come from like a third party on seller, I guess. You know what I mean? Like the guys that do drop shipping and stuff like that. Sort of come from one of them. Yeah. So just come in a grey box. It showed up 2 days before it was supposed to, which was good. But come in a grey box with just a part wrapped in bubble wrap, and I'm just like, yeah, right, okay. I sort of second guessed myself, thinking maybe I've put the wrong vehicle details in, or wrong, different variants in the motor, whether it's 1.8 liter or 2 liter or whatever. And I was like second guessing myself on the part. And I'm like, well, what? So I've gone and sort of just put it side by side, and I've gone, no, well, it fucking looks the same, but you could just tell the quality difference between the parts. Like, mind you, this wasn't overly expensive. Like, it, wasn't a genuine part, but it wasn't a cheap fucking Chinese. I'm not going to say cheap Chinese because it's made in China, but it wasn't the cheapest one. When you filter by, lowest to highest price first or vice versa. Like, in my mind, it seemed like a relatively decent part. And so I've thrown it on there and I've had a look. And even the part that I replaced, which I don't think was the problem, but, you've got to start somewhere. So the part that I replaced wasn't even a genuine part as well. It was a second-hand part, like a aftermarket part. So I'm like, wow, this is quite strange. Like, the quality of the part, we're matching serial numbers and matching numbers and stuff. And, the one that had been on the car looked like it'd been on there for, say 5 years. I mean, the vehicle is 13 years old or something. So, yeah, 13 years old. So, I dare say that part's been replaced once or twice before. It's a known issue with Audis. But anyway, just the different quality of the part from 5 years ago to today, I was quite shocked and went, are you fucking serious?
Well, so something like that, we can attribute that a lot of that is due to the decreased labor in the factories for manufacturing the parts that we need for vehicles and stuff like that. Because thanks to COVID 2 years ago, there's not as many people working in the factories now, so the quality is obviously going to go down. There's less quality check and whatnot. But from what you're saying, this doesn't even sound like it came from a fucking legitimate manufacturer.
Yeah, well, that's right. It doesn't look like it's, just been 3D printed. It's obviously a plastic cast molding, but yeah, it just the different qualities, I guess, between that old part and the new part. And it's only, I dare say the old part would only be 5 to 6 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just went, wow, okay, this is different. But it goes back to anything, I guess, being mass produced. It's about production over safety or production over
quality.
Quality, time, money.
Yeah.
They want to get 100 million parts out, so they can make more money on it. Sort of, in my mind, it's sort of like, buying, I'm not going to say like Louis Vuitton, but like Calvin Klein or, going to David Jones or Myer and getting a somewhat, quote unquote, a good T-shirt, something like a Tommy Hilfiger shirt or something like that, opposed to going to Kmart and getting a T-shirt from Kmart. Like, yeah, it's still a shirt. It still does that one job, but the quality feels completely different.
Yeah, you would notice if you got a shirt from Kmart compared to a shirt from Calvin Klein.
Yeah. Another thing that just thinking about it is bedding, bed sheets, doona covers and stuff, or shit like that. You really do underestimate. What's the word I'm looking? You underestimate the value of buying good quality, products.
Yeah, you do. With bedding, you would notice if you
cheaped out.
You're cheaped out, because if you got something of a very high quality, it would feel so nice,
Oh yeah, you want to jump in bed every day.
And then if you get something from Kmart, it's I guess I'm sleeping in this now.
Oh, that actually just reminded me. So a little story about work, right? At camp, it's not an old camp by any means, but I think they just grab the beds from like old fucking motels and shit. Like some of the beds I slept on at camp, you can feel the spring in your back. Like it yeah, it's pretty bad.
Ugh.
Anyway, so the room I got this because we don't get the same room every week. So the room I got last week was still an older room, but they must have updated it because they are doing renovations and stuff. So I think they might be upgrading like the beds and stuff as well. So I got the bed base was still an old base, but it was a new mattress on top.
Yep.
Now, mattress was like firm on the scale, on the bedding scale. It was a firm mattress. It wasn't hard as a rock, but yeah, you could you slept on top of it. You didn't sink into the bed.
Yep.
So, obviously not a bad thing, but it looked like a brand new mattress and new pillows. So I was stoked about that. To go from, the old shitty fucking beds where you could feel it springing you back to something new, it was worlds apart.
Mm.
And I found that I don't like firm mattresses because holy shit, I woke up sore hips, sore fucking neck every day. Like holy shit, I found what bed that I like, and yeah, it's a soft bed. It's not a hard bed. Because fuck, I woke up sore.
God damn it.
But yeah, just another just story about fucking
It's another story of another reason why Jordan says fuck this today. Good job.
Yeah, pretty much. I woke up and I sort of rolled out of bed and just like turning my neck, I was like, oh, this fucking sucks.
It's okay, Tin Man, just get some oil, you'll be alright.
Yeah, exactly. They must go for some WD-40, loosen up the hinges.
Fucking numbnut. So the reason why we're discussing this quality stuff, I guess we can go back to using the word, fuck, I just lost the word. Oh, brain. Yeah, to quality content, quality in content getting lower. So, about a month ago now, being the avid gamer I am, of course it's going to be a video game that sets me off on this fucking tangent. I used to be a major fan of the Saints Row games. They weren't the best, God forbid. I mean, Saints Row 4 comes to mind. And
no, they weren't, but I tell you what, there was still a fun game to play, yes, it was like a fucking rip-off of GTA. Everyone knows that. But it was still a good game to play.
Yeah.
Apart from the one, what's the one where you're like, towards the ending, the epilogue is like an alien type of fucking thing? Is that like Saints Row 3 or something?
Saints Row 4 is the one where they are versing aliens.
Yeah, no, that was shit ass.
Yeah, so yeah, that was Saints Row 4. So the Saints Row series has been known for being wacky, a bit out there, but let's remember that Saints Row 1 and 2 were serious, they were grounded, they had comedy in it, sure, but they were a lot more serious in their tone. But the biggest point was, yeah, they had their bugs, because, no game is perfect, but they worked for the time, and, as game developers go on, they develop that. They make it different, they adjust it to the modern day control scheme, if you will. So when Saints Row 2022 comes out, and it looks like it could have been on the Xbox fucking 360, you've got a bit of a problem starting already with the PlayStation 5 and Series X out there, don't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. How can I word this? To me, it sort of seems like Cyberpunk, which is another game that did not very well upon release. No. Cyberpunk 2077. So, how can I word this? I didn't really have any problems with the bugs that some people had. I found a lot of the bugs were on the next gen consoles, your PS5 and your Xbox Series S and X, as well as PC.
Yeah.
But I found a lot of them people, especially PC, would run it at higher graphics, with ray tracing on, and pretty much work the game and the computer to its full potential, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's
And that's
breaking.
where so that's where they were developing a lot of bugs and, games crashing and stuff like that, which shouldn't happen, but I can understand why it happens.
Yes.
Now, I was playing on the last series of the Xbox One.
Yep.
So if you were to have a look at the internals, it pretty much had the same internals as a Series S, but obviously wasn't a Series S. Now, I didn't encounter any bugs with it, and, my TV can handle, I think it's 4K, but it's not the sharpest, I guess, in 4K. Because, it's not a fucking cheap, like, big W TV, but it's not, an expensive fucking $3,000 TV. But I found, thinking back, that, Cyberpunk, it looked like it was in, 480p quality. It was just looked like shit. And I didn't realize it until, thinking back on it, going, wow, okay, like, the graphics of the game, it was absolutely dog shit.
Yeah.
Now, I'll put the question to you.
Yeah.
Do you think the reason why some of these games are lacking the quality that we're after is because, A, we've, I guess, reached the pinnacle too early of, of games, and we've been absolutely, blown away with, stuff like when Spider-Man first came out on the PS5 and saw the graphics on, you're like, holy shit, this is great. Or could it be because everything is turning like MMO, for instance?
Okay.
Like Assassin's Creed does it really well with the details in the MMO. And you stand on top of a perch and you look out and you can see the city. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Same with Dying Light 2. Obviously, I've told you I've put. I could probably go and have a look at the minute and go and see how many hours I put on. But yeah, it's something in the vicinity of 200 hours in the last probably month to 6 weeks I've put on that game. And the quality that I can see from the video game, playing it, and it's my second ever digital download of a video game. But just seeing the quality that the developers put into like the scenes and the environment around you was fantastic compared to something like Cyberpunk, which is absolutely dog shit.
Yeah.
So do you think that what the game devs are sort of doing something else to, reinvent the wheel as such, and they're lacking on something else? Or, what's your theory behind it?
So the first correction I got to make with your question, MMO is not the word. That's massive multiplayer online game. You're thinking of RPG, which is what Assassin's Creed went to. They went from stealth, whatever the originals were, to a massive RPG-like game set in, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, yada yada. But yeah, so a lot of video games are taking this RPG route, where they are basically making them all role player, so that the player, the one with the controller, can be a bit more immersed into the game.
Immersive, yeah.
But that's not the downfall. That's not what's causing this. How do I put this? In the last few years, there has been a crunch, right? A lot of smackdown has been occurring where companies are being forced to cut out crunch time, which is essentially, the programmers or developers are not working as late. They're not being overworked. They're not being, underpaid for their work, yada yada. Which is a good thing. But the problem with that is these developers haven't adjusted their release time to fit the shortened workload, because they're not making them work 16 hours a day on this. They're making them work a proper working day's hours,
which is totally fine. If coming up to release date, say you're a month out from a release date, it's in my mind, when it comes to like watching car shows about car building for SEMA, which is arguably like the biggest auto show in the world, held in America. A lot of companies or even backyard guys will put in extra hours to get the finishing touches done on the vehicles, for instance, or for the games. So coming up to release date, they should be putting in more hours. Obviously getting paid accordingly, but putting in more hours. So instead of doing a 9 to 5 for majority of this game, they should be coming in at say 6-7 o'clock and doing 12 hours a day, so that way they can get rid of this sort of stuff. Now, it's only been probably the last 18 months to 2 years where I've really sat down and actually played video games pretty full on and started completing them and actually having the patience with it. One thing that's driving me up the wall and doing my head in is the day one patch.
Yep.
Like, when a game should be released, it should be released, and that's it. Now, yes, you're sending copies of that video game to hundreds of millions of people around the world.
Yep.
And you're going to encounter bugs. I understand that. But that game should not be 99%ed by the time it gets released. It should be 100%, and you shouldn't have an update or a patch on the first fucking day. Granted, the first week, maybe, you do need to iron some stuff out. I get that. But the day one patch, you've just spent 35 hours downloading this game, depending on your network speed or whether you bought it digitally or a disc or whatever. But, you buy this game and, the good old days of buying a game and taking it home and playing it straight away is gone, which I think is absolutely fucking bullshit.
Yep.
If I buy a game, I want to take it home and play it straight away, not wait a couple of hours for it to fucking download, then play it, which, understand, cut sliding times and all that sort of shit. It's fine. But then you play it for a couple of hours, then the patch gets released. So then you've got to wait another couple of hours for it to update. And you're just like, why the fuck? Why didn't I just buy this game in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah. To make a comparison before I get into the reason about the day one patch being a problem, from my perspective as someone who's been gaming for arguably and very correct longer than you. But the comparison is, you don't go on Netflix, pick a movie you've never watched before, and then wait for the movie to download to your fucking phone or whatever for about an hour to 2 hours before you can actually watch the damn movie, do you? You get in, you start watching it.
Exactly right. If I am on Disney Plus and I want to watch an episode of Family Guy, I click on the episode of Family Guy and it loads.
Yeah, whereas...
Granted, internet speed, it can buffer, whatever.
Yeah, but that's just down to the internet, whereas with the video game, you don't expect to come home and then you're waiting however fucking long for a day one update.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the reason why the day one patch is a big problem, and never used to be, even back in the days of the 360, this wasn't as bad. You would have gotten some games that would have been released and you would have had a day one patch, but they were nowhere near as bad as they are now. Keep in mind as well, the file size for the games back then was a hell of a lot smaller, so the day one patch wasn't as big. Whereas today, you're getting games in the fucking 100 gigabyte download size, and the day one patch has to be just as bad. But as time has gone on, to be frank, the games are getting bigger, but the release dates aren't changing, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, Assassin's Creed, I think, was like every 12 months they would bring out a new game.
Yeah, and the game itself would... Sorry, you go.
The same thing with Need for Speed. You know, they were trying to push for one every year, which, yeah, you do sort of keep the, you know, if you got the hype train going, you want to keep that hype. I get that. But if you push it out to 18 months, it gives everyone a chance to iron out the bugs.
Yeah, but
And it makes everyone's overall experience better. Like, you know, I don't speak for everyone, but I think I speak for a fair amount of people saying, I'll wait an extra 6 months for the game to be released if it's better quality. I use that term very loosely, but better quality. You know, the lifestyle of the game is better rather than being very buggy and a very, you know, what's the name? You know, not a very good experience. Like Cyberpunk, I bought it. I can't even remember how much it cost. I didn't buy it when it got released. I think I bought it a couple of days later.
Yeah.
I played the game. I finished it, and I have not been back on that game.
No.
Because of how shit it was. Like, yeah, you get an initial sale. You know, companies are getting the initial sale from that, but they're not getting people, you know, buying the DLCs or anything like that because the game was just fucking shit.
Yeah.
Where I like, which was, I think was CD Projekt Red was the game developers for that, where Techland have listened to their community for Dying Light 2. And, you know, it's a mission if you want 100% the game. It really is. But to do the main storyline can only take you 30 hours. But now, you know, Techland have actually listened to their community and have gone, okay, we're going to release these patches and these chapters for additional things that you can do for different weapons and mods and this and that and the other. And they've listened to their community, which I give big raps to because they're game developer that actually do. Not a lot do.
No.
They get your money and then they fuck off.
Yep. I'm pretty sure you and I have had enough of that from developers. I mean, I did with Behavior Interactive, and hence why my time with Dead by Daylight ended.
Yeah, exactly right. They weren't listening to the community, and if they did, they wouldn't make balanced changes towards the game. They would sort of favor it for a small minority of people.
Yeah, and then the microtransactions. And I don't think I told you about it, but the dating sim based on Dead by Daylight came out recently as well.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, that's another one that does my head in.
Yeah.
Which I think, I can't remember which Need for Speed bought it in. But they got a new developer in. Can't remember who it was, but they introduced microtransactions into the game. And it went absolutely fucking downhill because of these microtransactions. And so be it. Like, you know, you pay $150 plus for this game, and then you're expected to, you know, spend whatever it is on microtransactions. Yeah, fair enough for mobile game. Yeah, whatever. You know, most games are free to download, and that's where they make the money is microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
But why would you do that on a console game that you had to buy in the first place?
Yeah, and not for cheap either. A lot of these are for full retail price on day one. Day one. Which sucks. But back to the catalyst of my anger, which is the Saints Row game. Holy shit. Watching the footage for it, as a major fan of the old Saints Row, I could not have been more disappointed from what I could see since its release day. I'm glad I didn't buy it, because, quite frankly, I'm not paying a goddamn cent for this fucking thing. I won't even buy it when it's on sale, because that is how much I have come to despise what they have done. Also, you're muted. I don't know if you mean to be muted.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah. My fat fingers.
Yeah. I'll just keep going. So.
Yeah, keep going.
So as I mentioned earlier, the graphics for this thing were you could compare them to the Saints Row the Third, which is I think it's 11 years old now, and you could probably aside from the color palette of the location they're at, there's not much fucking difference.
Yeah, right.
The customization, which is something that they've done pretty well for Saints Row in the past, feels like it's pretty much the same, except there's a couple things that they've done less of compared to 11 years ago, which is, you know how when you, in Saints Row the Third, upgraded your guns and there was a visible change to them, if you can remember that.
No, you lost me.
Okay, so every time you bought a firearm, and you bought like, I don't know, level 1 of it, or level 2, you would actually see the gun's appearance change to match what the level is. Like it would add an attachment every single level and make it look like
they
it's...
do that with Dying Light as well.
Yep. So in Saints Row 2022, every time your gun is leveled up, nothing. Looks the same, shoots the same firepower.
Yep.
So what the fuck's the point of this leveling? The shooting itself, I could compare it to a pea shooter. That's what it looks like. Like, the projectiles, the bullets coming out of the gun, are moving as if they're in slow motion, to me. That's what it looks like in the footage. And I look back at Saints Row the Third, and again, 11 years ago, they had fucking got the shooting down in that a lot better. The narrative, there is no fucking narrative for this thing. The gameplay is shit. Like, you remember the side activities that you could do in Saints Row 1, 2, or 3? And they were fun. Right? Well, like, one of them, insurance fraud. Insurance fraud was a fucking great one, you know? Throw yourself in front of a car, you get launched in the air, here's some money.
Yeah.
They fucked that. Like, they fucked it, and not because of how they changed the gameplay. The game is so buggy, no cars would spawn.
Like, yeah, right.
Yeah, so you can't even fucking play that. The other side activities are something like, starts off with, go collect this vehicle and bring it back. Make sure you don't damage the car. Thank you, that's level 1. And then you get to the last level. Go get that car. Make sure it doesn't get damaged. Bring it back. Here's your reward. Except now it's 3,000 meters away instead of 300. Like, the only thing that changes is the distance. Like, there's no enemies. There's no gameplay. It's just drive the car in the virtual world.
Yeah, well, if you're going to do that, you might as well buy Need for Speed or Forza or something.
Yeah, I'd have more fun with that. And the whole game is like, there's just stupid decisions like this. My favorite one that I saw, my favorite bugs, there was a few of them, were kind of like in back when Assassin's Creed Unity came out, where the heads would disappear during cutscenes. Like, the rest of the model was there, but the head was just gone. Just a wig floating in there. Yeah, that happens a lot, apparently. The only thing that doesn't happen to is your player-made character, which you would think would be the one that would suffer the most from it.
Yeah. But I have... how can I word this? I have sort of come across that with Dying Light as well. Obviously, it's not a big fucking deal for me, but yeah, I have seen, like, a player's head, like, not there, but it's, you know, only for that, like, one scene or something. So if, you know, they're walking and you're walking behind them, their head might disappear, but then in the next sort of cut scene, it comes back.
Yeah. But
yeah, it is a bug, but it's not that big of a deal. Comparing it again to Dying Light, there, like, you kill a zombie, some of the animations still take forever to finish. Like, you would have killed it, you know, a second or two ago, and then you're still waiting for the animation to finish because it was in the middle of attack or something. and then you're just like, come on, I want to search this body. Come on. Oh, there we go.
So the time for your bug there, with the Saints Row, the missing head bug is the entire cutscene.
That would be
that's a bit much. It's every angle, every line of dialogue, no head until the very end of the cutscene.
that'd be my head in.
Oh yeah, it did. So Angry Joe Show is a review channel on YouTube. He did a 45-minute review of Saints Row 2022 where all he did was rip the fuck out of it. Oh, it was beautiful. And the biggest problem is when you get to the end game content, with previous Saints Row games, the end game content is usually just, you've missed these activities here and there, maybe buy this business here and there, but this block of land needs to be taken over, yada yada. It's all small stuff. With Saints Row 2022, from the sounds of it, the end game content is locked behind a one building purchase, which costs $8.4 million in game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the amount of money you can earn passively by that point would still take you in-game 24 plus hours to earn. So,
Fucking hell.
yeah, it's not worth it. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of these things. I could keep going. I could make this like this half of the episode literally just going over all these negative reviews. But I think I've made my peace with it because there's other things I'd like to focus on. But the main thing is, the biggest problem is always, to me, going to be, it's a Saints Row game. So it needs to be, it's a gang violence simulator, basically, first and foremost. And it has been for ages. Even when it was set sci-fi against aliens, you had the gang violence element somewhere in there. Not as much, for fuck's sake. But it was still there. This did not feel like a gang violence simulator with the Saints Row logo. It felt like a bunch of fucking bullshit, pandering to no offensive jokes whatsoever. Basically appealing to the snowflakes. With the Saints Row logo, and I feel like that's a disservice to the previous series, along with everything else that they fucking got wrong. So yeah, wasn't happy. I was not happy. But I guess it's I guess it pales in comparison to Cyberpunk's hype and then disappointment.
It's downfall, yeah.
But yeah. Yep, okay.
Yeah, well, see, like, even, I guess, another one for me was, like, Need for Speed Heat, which, yeah, I did put some hours into it. You know, I didn't put a lot of hours into it, but, yeah, I probably could have completed the main story quest for that in, you know, say 2 days, maybe 24, 30 hours of gameplay time.
Yeah.
But I guess the... what's the word I'm looking for? Not the usability, but, you know, when, you know, people come back to play the game.
Replayability.
Yeah, replayability, that's it. You know, the replayability is there, where Cyberpunk and probably Saints Row, the replayability is not there. Now, you know, with the Saints Row, they don't need to be, you know, outlandish, and, you know, they don't need to go, I guess, over the top.
No.
Yeah, fair enough. That, you know, whatever it's based on, you know, do that. You know, if it's, you know, the core of the game was to be vile and vulgar and, you know, whatever, you know, you go into a brothel and just shoot up fucking strippers or prostitutes just because you can, you know, that's sort of what the game was based off of. Was that sort of very outlandish sort of gameplay, which is what it was built off of. And I think it's more of us being a purist per se. Same thing, with Pokemon when we both play Pokemon. Yeah, that's another game for me where you buy it and you don't have to wait for it to install. You take it home, you play it.
Yeah.
It's always been like that. I haven't really, even with the newer games, Legends and stuff on Pokemon, I haven't come across any bugs or anything like that with the game. And I think that, in my mind, a lot of Pokemon purists will hate me, but I think it's heading in the right direction of, the RPG and the open worldness.
Yeah, well, to be fair to Pokemon,
and they're doing it right. They're not just done that in one game and just gone from 0 to 100. They've sort of gradually be doing that. So they sort of found a foundation, or built a foundation, sorry, and have built up off it over a number of years, whether some games won't and haven't. They've just gone, this is the next leap. We think people are going to like this. And they've sort of gone 0 to 100 and it hasn't worked out.
Yeah. And like you said, and what I was going to say, but then you said it anyway, Pokemon started out with the light RPG elements ever since the first gen. Yeah, they were very minor. You probably would look at it this day because it was a game released in the 90s on the Game Boy, and you probably might not notice it. But if you look at it from an evolution standpoint, yes, every single game has had these RPG elements, and ever since what one was it, Sword and Shield, I think, it's amplified it to the point where it makes sense. Whereas games like Saints Row, no, I'm not going to do that one. Games like Assassin's Creed, when they took that massive gap where they stopped producing games and then they came back with the new formula and Origins, I don't think it worked as well because, it really added in a whole bunch of number systems and all that. But it worked well enough, just it wasn't gradual. It was, here's a big gap because we have burnt ourselves out on it. We'll come back when we're ready. And they came back and it's like, here, have a calculator thrown at your fucking face. Boom! And it's kind of working because I hate to say this because it's such a fucking cliche thing, but the sale numbers don't lie. It's working, but I have a feeling that if they'd put a different name on the first new Assassin's Creed, so Assassin's Creed Origins, instead of that, if they'd put a different name and put it under a new license from Ubisoft, I feel like it might not have worked. Personally, I feel like it would have.
Probably not. Like Assassin's Creed's another one. They haven't really gone back to their roots and gone, oh, this is what works. Let's do this. Yes, there is still elements of it there, but they haven't really done that. You look at 1 and 2 with the protagonist and, jumping in and out of that time machine thing to find out who he was. And that's great. But then they have really leaned away from that dialogue and storyline. Like, Odyssey arguably has, one of the best dialogue and storylines of a game. Like, I'm not going to say all time, but fuck, it's up there. Like, it's the voice acting in that is done so well. And, I wish some of these games with these multiple storylines and stuff took a leaf out of their book and actually went, wow, okay, this is what we need to build from.
Yeah, like Dying Light has done, because you've got so many different dialogue options in that thing. You were telling me the other night, and it's like, and you just keep going, and you've replayed it, and it's like, fuck yeah, this is going so well. Woohoo, look at me go. And you're just enjoying the narrative and the dialogue and everything, compared to other things in the past.
There's multiple different endings, so you've got to be, unless you know what you're doing or What's the word I'm looking for? You know, if it's your first playthrough and it's release date or whatever, you won't be able to find any. I'm not going to say walkthroughs or anything, but any sort of advice.
You're not going to find a
on it.
guide on how to get the best ending.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. Fuck. What I was going to say something. About the Assassin's Creed thing. You know how they've always done like a past and a present timeline for you to see in terms of the narrative?
Yeah.
You know that in Valhalla, that's finished now, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Valhalla,
Yeah,
the present timeline basically is no longer a thing. You will not be getting another, because they announced another Assassin's Creed at Ubisoft Forward not long ago. Ubisoft announced Assassin's Creed Mirage, which they claim is like a back to basics kind of Assassin's Creed, more like the old school ones compared to the newer ones. But when you look at,
Well, see, I'd never. I watched the trailer for Valhalla.
yep,
And actually, when you finish Odyssey, there's probably another, I don't know, 5 hours worth of like new game plus content.
yeah,
Apart from like DLCs and chapters and stuff. But yeah, that extra little bit of after you complete the game. And they do show you a teaser sort of for Valhalla. And so I watched the trailer for Valhalla and I went and finished the game, you know, a month later. And yeah, Valhalla just didn't seem appealing to me. So I was just like, yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to bother playing it. And I haven't even watched gameplay of it, to be honest with you. And it just didn't appeal to me.
So it's a lot like Odysseys, except it's instead of swords, it's axes. It's what I'm able to guess from it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really into Norse mythology, so it's not appealing to me.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, I am into Greek and Egyptian mythology, so
yeah.
You know, obviously, you know, you're not going to please everyone choosing different whatevers, but
well, with
another thing.
Yeah, so yeah, with Valhalla, they they ended the present day storyline by, because they'd already killed off Desmond. Oh, spoiler warning, fuck. They already,
that's his name.
Yeah, they'd already killed off Desmond in Assassin's Creed 3, you know, fucking over a decade ago. But then they brought in basically a new character that we've been following ever since, who got hired by Abstergo in 4, left it, and that's the character that you saw in Odyssey, that the girl in the present day. She's been in it since Assassin's Creed 4. It's just that she never had a face for a while. And again, massive spoilers. But in Valhalla, she fucking dies. Like Desmond.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, they've effectively, I believe the decision behind that was, it's so that they can just focus on the Assassin's Creed games now, like the past element of it, instead of putting in a present day narrative and trying to work it in. So they got fucking lazy trying to work in another side story. Basically.
Yeah.
With that said, though, let's move away from video games, because I just realized we've been talking about that for half an hour. It's a doozy of a thing, but there are other things about dropping in quality that probably should be a part of this conversation as well. And the biggest comparison would be Thor Love and Thunder to Thor Ragnarok. And the reason I'm bringing in Ragnarok is because I know you fucking have seen that one, so I can use this.
Yeah.
But in your opinion, Ragnarok, how good of a movie?
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Good visuals, great to watch, funny as hell. I believe that's what you said to me. Something you could actually rewatch if you really wanted to.
Yeah. Well, I sort of come into the MCU pretty late, I guess. You know, I didn't really watch any of the fucking earlier sort of movies. It was more, I watched Endgame, I think it was.
Yes, you and
Yeah.
I went to see Endgame at the movies
Game.
together.
Yeah, and then I watched Ragnarok after that just to get some backstory. I still haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy. It doesn't really seem my thing, but I've only seen bits and pieces of these Marvel movies, and for the most part, I really do like them. I've been wanting to sit down and watch Spider-Man because I like Tom Holland.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
But for the Marvel movies I have seen, yeah, some of them are quite long, but I do like the movie.
Yeah. So here's some comparisons for you, right? Thor Ragnarok made a shit ton of money at the box office when it released. I'm trying to get the numbers here right now just to make a comparison, but I'm also trying to go off memory because I don't really need to go off memory for Love and Thunder here. But Ragnarok made a shit ton of money. It was a huge success. It was a great movie, yada yada. Love and Thunder, in its first week, has been the worst performing MCU movie ever.
Oh wow!
Yep. And
I thought Captain Marvel would be it.
Nope. Love and Thunder has officially reached it in release week. So first week, it has been the worst movie financially and review-wise as well. Now, no one's going outright and just going, the movie's heavily negative, like no heavy negative reviews, but it's not overwhelmingly positive. So that's another thing to keep in mind, the drop in quality. And the only reason why that film did so well, and I can say this because I live with my mother, but when Chris Hemsworth's ass is going to be on screen, you're going to get a flock of women going to the movies just to see Chris Hemsworth's ass.
Yeah.
Go away. I see you in the background. Go away. She was just there going, yeah, thumbs up and everything. Big smile on her face. So, confirmation. But yeah, no, the movie itself, apparently, because I haven't seen it yet. I want to, because I'm actually a fan of Chris Hemsworth and the Thor movies. Yeah, the movie's shit and it's boring. So, you go from Thor Ragnarok, which was, exciting, it was funny, it was engaging, to it's boring and shit. What the fuck's happened? What happened in, I think it's 6 years or some shit? And that's just one example of movies recently being absolutely awful. What's your input?
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I can't really say, but...
No, from what I've said, what's your input on that?
How can I word this? When it comes to, Marvel movies, I guess, because they've got such a big following, do you think they reached the pinnacle with the Avengers and now they're just grasping at straws?
My personal opinion...
Because to me, that's just what it sort of seems like with the new Thor movie, the new Hulk movie.
The She-Hulk miniseries.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's sort of like they've reached the pinnacle and now they're just grasping at straws, trying to, I guess, bring in more money.
So, the way that some people have said it, when Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man passed away in Endgame, the MCU went with him. That is what everyone is saying.
I mean, it was a very touching farewell. Fuck, I cried at the end of that. But then, was it Deadpool? Didn't that get released afterwards, or is that before?
Deadpool 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Deadpool 2 was after, but keep in mind, Deadpool's officially not in the MCU yet.
Yeah, righto.
He can be
Um,
now that Disney owns Fox, but at the moment he's technically had not appeared in a single MCU universe movie.
yeah, okay.
Um,
But yeah, it's just I don't know. To me, it just sort of seems like they're grasping at straws, trying to do all these sort of
yeah. But
branches out. You know, the main tree stub, I guess, was the MCU, and all the branches are your Spider Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, all that sort of stuff. And now the trees reach full bloom, and they're still trying to grasp at straws, hoping that one movie, quote unquote, goes viral and everyone loves it. So, it's sort of, to me, why don't you quit while you're ahead?
yeah, the problem with that is they're adapting comic book stories and comic books in general. And I don't think it's a yeah.
We've seen what that sort of shit can do. Like, Tomb Raider, the video game to the movie, Assassin's Creed, the video game to the movie. When you start doing shit like that, it doesn't work out well.
Yeah, but with the comic books, right up till Endgame, it's been fucking pretty much flawless. Not pretty much, not flawless. It's been well adapted. There we go. It's been well adapted and watchable and enjoyable even. But the problem with adapting comic books and the Avengers comic books themselves and their individual hero storylines and everything, there is fucking hundreds of Marvel comic books to sift through to get a cohesive story out of. And even the Thanos and the Infinity Stone saga is only one of many main fucking bad guy threats that the entire cast of Avengers have to face in the comics. There's bigger threats than that even to come. But with how grandiose they made it in the movies, it's like the pinnacle. Because, I mean, you had not watched every Marvel movie before. As you said, you've watched bits and pieces here and there before Endgame. And even you could grasp this was such a fucking massive movie, and it had such high stakes involved that you were basically clenching your fucking ass cheeks to the point where you couldn't fit a fucking pebble up there because it was that tense and that exciting to watch.
Yeah.
So
you're on the edge of the seat watching it.
Yeah. And when you get to that, and then that saga, because it was basically from the first Marvel movie they released, Iron Man, up till Endgame, it was all part of the Infinity Stones saga. Now they're trying to move on to the next one, to the next main bad, trying to set him up, but you just spent like 20 fucking years doing this one saga, and you can't carry the momentum from one saga to the next because there has to be a downtime. I'm not saying, that from now on, once they finish the setup, everything for Marvel will be great. I think we as an audience are burnt out on it. And as a result, because the numbers are dropping, they're starting to give less of a shit of their quality.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I've got for that one. Any other movies you can think of in recent years that you've watched that has just disappointed you to no fucking end?
No, I dare say the Fast and Furious franchise. I haven't seen, I think, fucking Fast 9. I haven't seen that one. The Rock in the Jason Statham one, I can't remember what it's called, but I didn't watch it.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw, that's it. Fast 10, hopefully that's the last fucking movie of the franchise, but, a lot of the actors, they're still amazing actors, but just the the quality of the movies is not what it used to be about. Now, these outlaws, street racers are working with fucking CIA, FBI, fucking, I can't remember what it's called in the UK, MI5, I think it's called, or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, now they're working and catching international bad guys with unrealistic fucking shit. And it's just like, this isn't what the game was about. The movie was about. The movie was about illegal street racing and, getting that's where a lot of the car culture in the world sort of started from, was that, like, that and the early Need for Speed games. That's where a lot of the car culture come about, and now it's just turned to shit, in my opinion. I haven't seen a new one of Fast and Furious, and I don't anticipate on watching them because, it's just.
Would you say it's kind of like the MCU thing here, where an actor, unfortunately because it was Paul Walker passing away, but his character leaving the movies should have been the last movie, you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, in both Endgame and I think it was like fucking Fast 8.
No, Fast 7's where Paul Walker's character was written out.
Yeah. So, them last two, both of the directors and, the studio staff, whoever, they've really made a very impactful, last scene, which was great. You won't miss it, and you get teary-eyed watching it and stuff. So it's good, but now it's sort of you're trying to live a life past that, and it's not really working out.
No,
I'm not going to say he died with the character, because I don't think Paul Walker was the main character in the series for Fast and Furious, but when one of your main characters dies like that, he died, suddenly and tragically. But, I think if he was still alive and his accident didn't happen, that the Fast and Furious franchise wouldn't have been sort of blown out of proportion like it was.
Yeah. Personally, for me, Fast and Furious started to die off around the movie before that one, 6. I think Fast and Furious 6 was personally unnecessary.
Was that when I think it was Mexico, when they went to Mexico to fucking kill that drug cartel guy?
No, it was the movie after they did the big bank heist and stole the vault and drove it through town. I think it's the one that ended with them on the airplane, and Hans's girlfriend passed away in that one. Yeah. I think 6 was where they should have... No, 5 was where they should have stopped for me, and 6 was unnecessary onwards, personally. Don't get me wrong, I love Fast 7's ending because it capitalizes on the entire life of Paul Walker's character up until that point, and it gives his character a happy ending, which, to me, and to an extent you, seeing a character that you've watched from whatever age the first one came out on, and watching him grow to the point where he can finally just be happy, and even though he's a fictional character, you can't help but sit there like, thank fuck for that. I'm so proud. I'm so fucking happy. And you're crying, not because you're sad, but you also cry because you're happy of it as well.
Yeah, well, they are bringing it, they have done little other things. I think the movie after that was where they fucking defeated that Russian nuclear sub or whatever. Ugh. And that was the one where Dominic Toretto in the movie, who was working with some spy agent because she was holding his child hostage, and that's where you found out, his child, and you're like, wow, okay. So it brought another spin into it. So you sort of wanted to see what was going on there, but it was sort of fitting where he named his son. I actually think he named his son Paul, not Brian, because Paul's stage name was Brian O'Connor.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. So he named in the movie named his son Paul, I think.
Yep.
Don't quote me on it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he named his son Paul in the movie. So that was
So,
sort of a fitting touch. They had the gang back together, and I think that's where it should have stayed put.
yeah, you're more of you're more for
Well,
the complete storyline of Dominic as instead.
yeah. Well, they sort of not tidied up all the loose ends per se, but
They wrote a
they
appropriate
what
and acceptable ending.
what the whole sort of franchise was about was yes, street racing and stuff, but it was about family, respect, all that sort of stuff, and that to me was just a fitting ending of family.
Mm.
Do you do anything for your family? And I was like, yeah, no, that's true. So yeah, to me, that should have been the last movie rather than grasping at straws.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see where you're coming from. I'm still kind of the thing of 5 because, that was where they introduced The Rock's character. And
And he done a great job. Don't get me wrong, but
personally, to
yeah,
me, The Rock's character in the Fast and Furious movies, his best performance was in 5, where he was kind of like he was the good guy cop trying to bring in the bad guys, which was our main cast. And then he ended up helping them to take on a bigger bad guy, but he never actually goes on with them afterwards. If that was where the movie ended, he kind of just let them go and let them be and just left it alone. The cliffhanger they added at the end of 5, where they revealed that Dom's girlfriend was still alive, which was the whole point of 6, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah, that twist ending, the set up the 6th one, if they'd taken that out and just left the movie where they did before that, perfect end to the series myself there. But you're
Yeah,
right, you're right.
But then Letty's not in in the movie.
Yes, but as an audience, we had already come to accept that she was past by then because she died in quote unquote she died in the 4th one.
Yeah.
So we had already come to accept that one. So
Yeah.
just bringing it back, just because that was the whole point of that, was just to create hype so people would go watch the 6th one. Because if they didn't add that scene in and they announced the 6th one and didn't include any scenes of her in the trailer and kept her as like a legitimate surprise, do you think anyone would have gone to see the 6th one maybe?
I wouldn't have got the numbers that it did, no.
No. So, that's just the whole thing of setting, which is what the MCU does as well, even now, and it's not as effective as it used to be because they've been doing it since the very first fucking movie. But setting up a thing for setting up an expectation for the audience to come in and find out, oh, why is this going on? Why is this character alive? Yada yada yada. Like, I get it. You want money, but come on, just if a series is gonna end on such a good note and the characters have passed away, because at that point Hans had died in Tokyo Drift. They brought him back in the 9th one, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But by the end of the 5th one, we knew that Hans was alive at the end of the 5th one, but he was set to die in the events of Tokyo Drift. We knew that Letty was gone, and Dom had made his peace with that and had actually hooked up with The Rock's character's partner, the cop girl. And that's a happy ending of his own right. And yeah, everyone was in a pretty damn good spot at the end of the 5th film. If you'd left out the twist of Letty being alive, the 5th film would probably have been a really good place to end it. But no, as usual, money talks.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I see where you're coming from, and I can agree that the 8th one was a good place to end it as well. But realistically, I think like, how I said earlier that the audience for the MCU's burnt out on all the movies and shit, and that's why it's getting worse.
Yeah.
I'm someone that, Because 5 movies in a row of Fast and Furious, and you see the progression from the first film to the 5th film alone, that was already outlandish enough as it was by the 5th one. That's a good enough place to end it, because you could sort of kind of believe it by that point. It was still believable. Then the 6th one happened, and it started to get a little crazy.
Yeah, you're like, really? Come on.
Like, don't get me wrong, the 5th one was still pretty bonkers. Driving a big, massive fucking safe through the city and destroying everything in its path.
Yeah, jumping out of planes with fucking parachutes and...
Yeah.
Really?
It just gets to that point where you're like, oh, look, we love that your budget's getting bigger, but cars don't work like that, man. I'm pretty sure you'd be stoked if your car could do half the things they can do in Fast and Furious.
Oh, definitely. But like, it's not just that. I still remember, what's that movie with Mr. T and Face and...
A-Team.
What? The A-Team.
Driving a tank out of a fucking plane.
Plane. They quote-unquote flew a tank, like, come on.
Yeah,
really now?
that one
I watched that. We had to dissect that movie, I think, in grade 11 or 12 or something. And... like, everyone, when we watched the movie, we were like, you can't do this. No. It doesn't, physics doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Here's my favourite one ever. This one's even more insane than that. So, you've heard of Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah.
So, in the 4th Indiana Jones, where Harrison Ford is starting to get on in years, mind you, this film's already over a decade old itself, to survive a nuclear fucking bomb, Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones jumps into a refrigerator that was made in the 40s and survived.
Actually, that sort of has been debunked. Depending on how close you are to the nuclear bomb, a fridge is actually one of the best places for you to survive your chances. You might not fit in the fucking fridge, but if you can fit in the fridge, yes, you have a better possibility of surviving.
Yes, but this
depending on how far away you are from the blast and the initial blast.
Okay.
Because the fridge in itself is quite heavily insulated.
Yeah. So here are the 2 factors that make that scene unbelievable. The first one, don't quote me on this, I believe the nuclear bomb hits pretty much on the fake town that Harrison Ford's character is in. So,
yeah.
So that's one. I believe that's it. But if that's not the case, and I'm wrong, and I'll admit I'm wrong, because it's been a while since I've watched the movie, because I'm not watching that movie to save my fucking life ever again. But the second thing is how far that thing gets launched. Right? This thing goes fucking kilometers, hundreds of kilometers away from the blast site. Because of the fact the blast is so huge, it's launched so fucking far, right?
Yeah.
So, if you're an aging gentleman, you know, probably around your late 50s, early 60s, because that's how old the character might have been at that point, and you are in this like, just big enough refrigerator for you to fit in, and that fucker is launched hundreds of kilometers away, the impact on the ground and then the subsequent rolling afterwards, would that not hurt you a fuck ton? Maybe even that alone could kill you from the force?
Yeah, no, it'd definitely kill you.
Yeah, but out he pops, he just pops out, and here's the third one, the third point. He is still so close to that mushroom cloud that there is no way he did not get fucking radiated afterwards and died like 2 minutes into the movie after that.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I agree with that.
So
on one point there, fuck, I can't remember. I was watching it on YouTube, but anyway, they were saying that even if you're not directly looking at the blast, if you like see that blast happening and you do close your eyes, you can actually get blinded from the brightness of that, like, atomic bomb going off, like, you know, whatever
really?
it is. Yep. Even if you close your eyes and look away, it will it can still burn your cataracts, I think they're called, or your retina in your eyes. It will still blind you and wipe your vision away like instantaneously.
Right. So that's another point that I could add to how unrealistic that whole thing fucking was then. Because
Yes.
he literally gets out of the fridge, goes up a tiny slope, and he's just staring at this fucking cloud. Like, dude, first of all, you're going the wrong way. You gotta run the other direction. 2, don't fucking look at it. Oh.
Well, I'll give you another. Give you another one, which I think is a good one and a good actor is Clint Eastwood.
Yes, I love Clint Eastwood movies. I love a lot of his older, like earlier movies set in the Western. I love them.
Well, I haven't watched Cry Macho, which was released in 2021, but I have watched Gran Torino and The Mule.
Yep.
Now, as for someone that is that old, now he's getting on, like Sylvester Stallone and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Just to touch on some good points with them 2 movies. Holy shit! Like they were some good fucking watch. I think I've watched both of them, The Mule and fuck that other one, Gran Torino. I think I've probably watched them about 3 times each, which is a lot for me. But when you have, we've touched on like the really horrible parts of shit like that, but just to bring some good light into like them 2 movies. Now, The Mule was released in 2018, and I've watched it fucking 3 times since then, and it's just a fucking good movie. It's a good actor. It doesn't have any really like outlandish stunts, or they don't fucking go and burn or fucking just destroy 100 fucking different cars like they did in Fast and Furious. But storyline was great. The movie itself was pretty fucking good movie. It's not the best movie I've seen, obviously, but it's a really solid fucking movie.
Yeah.
And that was 2018, so it was 4 years ago, and I don't think movies have come leaps and bounds from in the last 4 years.
No,
But
not.
just that just goes to show the workmanship that can go into a movie rather than that we have been listing.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, all this stuff that we've brought up today, gentle listeners, like, don't get us wrong, these are not the pinnacle of every, like, consumer for their content. Like, what we've brought up, like Cyberpunk, Saints Row, Assassin's Creed, the MCU, like, a lot of these movies and video games and products that even Jordan brought up at the very start, these are not the pinnacle of what we can get nowadays and what gets brought out. It's just that these are slowly been becoming the standard, and I don't know why we are accepting it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that statement. Like, yeah,
it has been an extremely slow burn, but right now we are about to see the fucking white hot of the flame, not the fucking tip of it. It is getting ridiculous that this is what we have to accept and pay full price, like retail for, and with movies waste a bunch of our time just for some dopamine, like video games as well. Like, these aren't giving me a dopamine hit. These are making me go, why the fuck did I pay money for this?
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And another game we haven't touched on that we probably could touch on was the NBA 2K series. Now, speaking of that, one of my workmates went out and pre-ordered 2K23, I think, or whatever the new one's getting released, whatever it is.
Yeah, around this time of year, the next year's NBA is released. So 2K23 would be this year.
Yeah, so he went and pre-ordered the new one. It cost him $250.
What?
For the deluxe edition, you get a couple of skins and whatever, some legendary cards, whatever's included in the game. But the game itself is no fucking different to the last fucking 6 years of games. Yeah, you face different and shit like that, but the game itself is no fucking different. Look at the Rugby League series. They haven't bought another Rugby League game out for like fucking, I don't know, I'm going to say 10 years. No, it hasn't been 10 years, but...
Are you thinking of that one that... Are you talking about that NRL game that Aden bought when we were all living together? Like... but all the way back when we were at Northside? And Aiden would very, very passionately always try to play as the Rabbitohs, and he would micromanage the players and everything. And then he would actually play the game itself, taking control of the characters.
I think the last time was Rugby League Live 4.
Yes, that's the one I'm probably thinking of.
Released in 2017. We haven't had another one since then.
So 5 years. Hey, you were close.
Yeah. 5 years. We haven't had another Rugby League game in 5 years. Because, yeah, the rules have updated and stuff like that, but the gameplay itself is still the fucking same. Same with MLB, Major League Baseball. The game itself is still the fucking same. The Madden, that's it. Yeah, the gameplay is still the fucking same. You're still playing, whatever. But yeah, it baffles me. Like, it's still the same game that you're playing from fucking 4 years ago. Nothing has changed. So why are we buying new games?
Yeah, with the sporting game scene, that's how it's been. Are you ready for this? That's how it's been since 2002. A yearly release ever since 2002. And that's for the cricket games.
Look, I did download a cricket game when I got the Xbox because I got it on Game Pass for nothing, whatever.
Yeah.
And fuck, it was difficult to play.
Yeah.
Like, it really was. So, they probably haven't changed. It's probably been made a bit more intricate. But yeah, even that's still the same. I couldn't sit there on a cricket game for hours like I could, killing zombies or racing cars. That's obviously, personal preference, but yeah, why would you sit there and fucking play a game of cricket when you can go outside and actually play a game of cricket and it's very fucking similar.
Yeah, well, with the reason why these sports games are constantly being released every year, the main drive a lot of people defend these games for, and it shits me to tears, is because they update the roster and they take players out and add the new ones in from that year. Now, don't get me wrong, I can understand the appeal for that, but why the fuck can't you do that in a patch?
Yeah, that's right, or an update. Bring in, don't revolutionize the wheel, but, bring in an update where they do that and, you're still playing the exact same game.
Yeah, like, what comes to my mind is that meme of the car dealership guy slapping the roof of the car and he's saying, bang! This bad boy has the exact same gameplay you had 5 years ago, but it has 2023's fucking roster. Bang! Like,
well, look, we could use that same argument, right, with cars. You go to a car dealership and, just like, you and your mum did when you picked up your brother's car, yeah, it's an older model car, but realistically, it takes you from A to B. It's still the exact same car.
Yep.
If you want to modify it and, make it your own, so be it. Go for gold. But, there hasn't been any revolutionary changes in vehicles. There hasn't been any revolutionary changes in smartphones. Look at the new iPhone 14 that just got released the other day, like Friday, I think it was.
Yep.
There's no, like, it's doing the same thing that Android's been doing for years. Have an always on display. They've upgraded the camera to a 48 megapixel camera. Yeah, good stuff. But the same shit coming out on the iPhone, Android users have had for fucking years, and people are still paying. You know, I think the fucking top of the line iPhone was the best part of $1,600. You know, don't quote me on it, but I think that's roughly what the retail price is of it. For what?
To own a Samsung with an iPhone fucking logo. I couldn't help myself. You know that was a bit too wide open for me to not fucking say that. But you're not wrong. Like everything in the last
Fucking Jesus.
everything in the last 20 years has basically just been a rehash of the previous year with maybe minor tweaks.
So to buy it outright from the Optus store and the Telstra store, which in Australia are two main carriers for mobile phones, some like Verizon and T-Mobile in America.
Mm.
But guess how much a 256 gigabyte and 128 gigabyte, so not fucking fantastic memory on them, iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max are?
$19.99.
Fucking close. So an iPhone 14 Pro Max 128 gig is 1950 with Optus, and an iPhone 14 Pro, so the next one down from that, 256 gig, is $899. Well, $1,899. So nearly $2,000 for something that's not revolutionary. You don't get a charger in the box. You don't get headphones in the box.
Wait,
You know?
you don't even get a fucking charger?
No, you get the charging cable, but you don't get the charger.
You don't get the wall adapter.
No.
What the fuck's the point of giving you the damn cable if you're not going to be able to plug it into anything other than a fucking USB thing in your laptop?
Right, so I'll get you up to speed. So Spain, not Spain. I think it's Spain is the country.
Yes, Jordan.
Yeah, anyway, yeah. So Spain, as a country, have outlawed any new sales of the iPhone because it doesn't come with a wall adapter. And the European Union, so the UK and whoever's in the European Union, have banned the iPhone sales as well because it doesn't come with a USB Type-C cable. So both of their reasonings are sort of fair. You know, Spain is saying, well, essentially what you're doing, you're saying, oh, the charger doesn't come in a box because it's safe packaging and fucking rah. But you then have to go buy a genuine wall adapter separate, which has its own set of packaging, its own set of fucking transport. So you're not saving the world by not including, you're actually benefiting the world if you include the charger in the box. That's what Spain's saying.
So they're thinking of green. They're thinking green with this and trying to save on plastic and whatnot.
Yeah, but what they're doing is just outsourcing it to another company, saying this guy is causing all the pollutants because he's manufacturing the chargers, not us.
Yeah.
So they're pretty much just passing the buck, essentially.
Yeah.
But the European Union, like the MacBook, laptop, the iPads, they all use a USB Type-C charger.
But the iPhone still uses the fucking old one.
Yeah, it uses the lightning cable. So, Apple is saying, oh, we want to keep this because, it's compatible and you can't use third-party fucking cables and rah. But like the European Union is going, yeah, but everything uses a USB Type-C cable. You still get your rights by using your fucking own cable with your own brand on it, just like Samsung and Oppo and fucking whatever. Still get their own branded fucking thing, but it's a proprietary use cable. So,
in a nutshell, because iPhone refuses to be updated to the USB-C, Europe's just gone, fuck you, you're not allowed to sell that here.
Pretty much.
You know what? Good on you, fucking Europe.
Yeah. I don't think they've banned the sale. It's They put sanctions or whatever, or the sales limits or whatever on it. So yeah,
That is
they've done something about it. But yeah, it's still the fucking same. Like the same brand and Samsung phones, like they haven't really changed from 2020 or 2019. Yeah, you've got the flip and the fold. They're your sort of gimmicky, I guess, products. But if you wanted, I can see not the hype, but the usability with a fold. Not the flip, obviously, but the fold, because you've got the tablet there. If you want to, I don't know, if you're, say, a tattoo artist, right, and you do all your sketches on an iPad, for instance, or a tablet, you can do that, but then you can also use that phone to make calls and run a bit of a business from it. So I can see that sort of use. With a flip, like the old clamshell type flips that we used to get, like Motorola Razor.
Yep.
There's no fucking use for that in today's society.
No, there's not. And there hasn't been for a long fucking time.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't understand the point of it. But, at least other manufacturers are doing gimmicky products to get other people, through the door. Whether it's Apple are saying, oh, you need to just be updated with a new iPhone, even though nothing has fucking changed. You can still have an iPhone fucking 12 or 13 from years ago and still have iOS 16, it's the same software, and has the exact same features of fucking, pardon me, has the same fucking software. It's a brand new one. Like,
yeah, it's look,
and us as consumers are trying to keep up with the Joneses. Oh, fucking Drake, Kanye has an iPhone, so I must have an iPhone. It's like, no, can't.
no.
Why?
Like, you and I, we haven't been iPhone users for...
I haven't had an iPhone ever. The last Apple product I used was an iPod Touch.
Yeah.
And it was jailbroken.
Yeah. The last Apple product I had was a legitimate iPod.
Yeah.
But if I was to go... Because I have owned iPhone. I've owned one iPhone before. And that was an iPhone 4.
Yeah.
So,
I can understand what they call the ecosystem.
yeah.
You've got the iPhone with with the iPad and a MacBook, and you're in the ecosystem. Everything works seamlessly, which, yeah, fair enough. That's great. But the same thing would happen if you had Samsung.
Yeah.
If you, I don't know, had a fucking computer that was, ran Windows 10, whatever, but then you had your Samsung Buds and, Samsung S Pen, and it had the Samsung ecosystem, it would all work seamlessly as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like iPhone's just stuck in their way. Like, sorry, I'll be more specific. I feel like Apple are stuck in their own way, and they're refusing to adapt. But to be fair, there was a point, I think it was last year, where because where I work, we stock charger cords. So they get the scoop on certain things. They told me that the iPhone would eventually adapt to the USB-C. So the iPhone was they had planned to update the iPhone to USB-C, just, not in the next year or two, but it was in their plans in the next 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah.
But by then, would the USB-C be obsolete? Would Samsung and all these other electronic products bring out a new type of USB in the next few years? That would mean that the USB-C would no longer be a thing and iPhone's just playing catch up?
No.
No?
No. So the USB cable itself is, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not copyrighted, but it's made. It's not made by Samsung. It's not made by Apple or whoever. It was a group of engineers that originally made the cable as a one-way transfer device to go from point A to point B. So your USB stick to the computer. That's what its original purpose was, and that was called the USB Type A.
Yep.
So when you look at like an old school USB stick, that's called a USB A. USB Type B is the same cable, but it has two-way functionality. So you can choose between the host device and the receiving device.
Yep.
So that had the two-way talking to. USB Type C, with all its functionality, with the app, with the car, Android CarPlay, and all the other shit, it's going to stick around for quite some time.
Yeah.
We've had the micro USB cable for like Samsungs, and that was just that era of having all these different cables. Nokia had a different cable to fucking Motorola, for instance. They had all the gimmicky different cables, but when they all started to use and see the benefits of the USB Type C cable, because it has been around for quite some time.
Oh yeah.
A lot of companies adapted to it and went, right, well, we're going to use that because a large majority of our shareholders, or not shareholders, but consumers, use that cable. So why not use that? Because then we can feed into a different market. So USB Type C is going to be around for quite some time. I don't see it being superseded for another cable for decades.
Okay. Well, I did have to bring up
USB
that point though, because Apple was refusing to update the iPhone to be pretty much on the same level as every other product out there. And it just baffles me, like, why would you do that to your product? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I think with that, I think Apple's a good place to end it, because like Apple, I don't have time to keep listening to to their worries. But Apple's kind of I've never liked Apple products though, personally. I'm pretty sure you're the same though, because you said your last product was an iPad.
No, it was an iPod Touch.
Oh, iPod Touch. So,
Yeah.
even worse. I thought you said iPad for a second.
No, I was in high school.
Holy.
It was jailbroken, so you could customize it the way you wanted to, just like you could a Samsung.
Yeah, but Samsung would already have done that. What the?
Yeah.
But regardless, I think we can end that one there, because there's a lot of things we've gone through, and I don't really think there's much else we can really add except just keep adding to the list of things. Like, we've gone over mobile phones, we've gone over movies, we've gone over video games, we've gone over even a little bit on car products, which, good on you, you were able to squeeze that one in there at the very beginning. Jordan?
Yeah, got to do something.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll have an episode all about motor vehicles one time. We'll get there. Don't worry. But yeah. Are you happy with leaving it on this note?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, there's nothing really we can do too much about it, hey?
Nah. But the one thing that I think we can all take away from this is we've got to stop accepting this lower quality, and we've got to start actually the way you actually get it through to them is you vote with your wallet by not fucking buying it.
Yeah, that's right.
And like with iPhone, the iPhone one might be a bit harder to do, because basically there's only like two types of phones in Australia, which is Apple or Samsung. So that's something that was not going to change for a while.
Well, yeah, they're the two class-leading mobile phones, but you do have Nokia, Motorola.
Yeah.
You do have other brands there. Oppo's another one. Like, if you want a good phone for, I'm not going to say half the price, but probably half the price of one of these top-tier phones that can do everything that it can do, then you've got your choices. But yeah, everyone in Australia pretty much is either Apple or Samsung.
Yeah, and with with that being said, with everything else, like, especially with the video game industry and the movies, if you have this inkling that it's not going to be good, just don't spend your money on it and wait. And then when the reviews start coming in and you see footage of it on YouTube, then you can make a decision if it's worth it. But with everything, you'll be able to tell if it's going to be garbage pretty quickly. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult for me to not start getting a little aggravated at it again, because I'm thinking of the Saints Row game again, because fuck you, Volition. You did my boy dirty. Anyway, yeah, voting with your wallets is the only way to get this problem sorted, and I'm pretty sure you would agree with me on this. There are going to be people that would disagree with what we've said.
Oh, exactly. But, if you do, then, leave us a comment.
You know? It is obviously... It is obviously your opinion, and we're not going to say you're wrong, but with what we've stated and the evidence to back it up, you've got to make sure your point gets through. Because with this one in particular, the degrading quality, it's there. You can't deny it. Unfortunately, we're not going to disprove you. We'll listen to you, and we'll have what's the word I'm looking for? A mature adult discussion about it. But yeah, don't kid yourself and don't be blind. Don't praise something that is definitely low quality and expect us to just buy it. And that goes for game companies too, and movie producers. I know I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm doing it. It's really bad today.
You've been a wanker.
I know. Hey.
No, I get it.
Anything you want to add to that, Jordan?
No, not really, mate. We're just, like you said, if you don't like a product, you tell the company in the best way possible by not buying said product. Yeah. It's simple as that. It's the only way they're going to learn, really. Yeah.
And I think with that, we're done for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying the new fortnightly format we're doing. It just makes it a lot easier on us, and we can focus a lot more on the conversation and get a lot more of said conversation out there for yous. Obviously, let us know. You can always find us at the Opinionated Aussies Instagram. Always linked down below. And if you want to talk to one of us directly, you can always just, go there and tag us. Say who you want to speak to directly. Pretty sure Jordan's okay with that. Pretty sure, being called out by someone's not something he's not used to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, if there's something you don't agree with us, and yeah, definitely let us know, because we'd love to hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah. And as for me, you can always find me at the links I've got linked down below. With Aden, who unfortunately couldn't be here today to discuss this with us because he's at a wedding today. So yeah, he's not even home. You can always find him at his links, always linked down below. And like I said, Jordan's always pretty much got the Instagram loaded up on his phone, so just tag us on Instagram and you can find Jordan. He's not that hard to find.
Yeah, pretty much. Just if there's something you want to say, I didn't agree with this, then yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah. And I think with that, we're done for the day. Make sure to look after yourselves. Jordan, it's good talking to you again, and I'll talk to you again next fortnight when you get home.
Yeah, mate, I think it's time to get the day started, I think.
Yeah, and yep, that's all from us. Have a good one, guys, and we'll see you next fortnight.
See you in a fortnight.
Woo.